All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. This is everybody's favorite video revolving around all of the different cool finds that people are coming across via coin roll hunting, just casually searching through change, or perhaps maybe some cherry pick that you picked up at a local coin shop or show. I highlight them all here in one snazzy report. So this is a little bit later in the day that I'm more used to releasing this report. We're looking at Saturday afternoon. Generally, I shoot this out first thing in the morning to kind of get everybody's collective juices and just creative thinking flowing. When they're going out and just getting themselves immersed in coin finds. And yeah, this one's a little bit later, but anyways, we have about 20 coins to talk about that have all sold on eBay within the last 24 to 36 hours. If this is your first time here, the Pocket Change Market Report is really easy. It's a very transparent kind of like gauge of the market that revolves around pure straight up coin finds. And these are errors and varieties that exist out there today that a lot of people just throw aside, or they spend on something else, or just simply toss into their change jar at the end of the day. So for this report, all coins are raw. There are no graded coins. So the big idea is you find the coins in circulation, and then you just want to go ahead and flip it and make a quick buck or two or more. There are coins that sell for quite a bit more money that will be in full display here in the PCMR report. So the cool thing about not grading these coins is you don't have to spend the $20, $30, $40 to submit this to a PCGS or NGC grading company. Okay, it's like you find it and then you go ahead and throw it up on eBay for like a 7 or a 5-day auction, or perhaps maybe even a buy it now type style of listing. So we're going to go ahead and jump into the first set of coins here for you, starting with this beast. We're going to kind of slow dance our way into the PCMR with this Jefferson nickel, which ironically has no visible date because there's a big old honking blob of metal that's covering the area that would normally have the date and mint mark. And even half of Liberty is completely obliterated. So what this is called is simply a cud. It's another word or short word for a just incredible die break. So as you guys know, as the minting presses are cranking out these coins and they're sitting there and they're striking coins back to back to back just consecutively, these things are like automobiles. They exhibit a lot of wear and tear. Okay, one of those pieces on the minting press that exhibits a lot more wear than anything else is going to be those dies. The dies carry the design of the coins as they strike those blank planchets. So, when a die begins to fail, all right, they'll start with a few stress cracks and then pieces will actually fall out. And then you come across something like this. So the die had a huge missing piece that had fallen out at some point, and it translates into this big old blob right here. This is a very, very nice late stage cud. It's right good size too. You don't find too many of them with this size of cud, but here you go. So in terms of value, these are widely collected on the secondary market. For example, this one right here is sold for $100.20. So cuds of all sizes exist. Cuds are normally shown on or involved on the rim area. If they're on the inner details and they don't touch the rim, then they could either be like a die chip or a interior die break, things of that nature. But this is a really cool find and a really nice C note to start her off. Alright, so the next note that we have here is just a straight up $1 bill. Okay, this Federal Reserve note doesn't look like a whole lot on its face. It's a 1999 series, a little bit older, but it's a date that you still encounter out there in circulation. There's really not a whole lot to see here on the front of the note, but on the back, that's second printing is so far misaligned on this one. It's not a cutting error because on the front of the note it's perfectly centered, but on the back, that particular printing on the subject sheet was a little bit off kilter. So, when you have this kind of misalignment, collectors will tend to gravitate towards something like this just based off of the eye appeal and the dramatic nature of this type of error. This one right here is sold for $82.89. If you did come across one of these in your stack of cash, I would certainly pull them aside. Okay, this one is more on the very generous side of misalignment. There are other misaligned notes that are not as crazy as this one that are still sought after in the secondary market. Alright, for all you roll hunters out there, this particular coin right here should be something that you look for. And I would venture to guess that a lot of these have just passed through many hands, even as roll hunters are looking for silver and other kind of like major errors and varieties. This 1971D Kennedy with what looks to be a crack right here that goes on the Y is what they call a pre-cud. So it's the earliest stage of a cud. This is what it would the dies would look like after some prolonged use, but not terminal enough to where you actually have the full piece of that die had fallen off yet. All right, so it's not quite a cud; it's a pre-cud. But there are other types of this 1971 Denver minted Kennedy half dollar that actually has a full cud on it. But this is a nice kind of like state progression type coin. For those of you that don't know, these are worth a few bucks. This particular example in this condition sold for $5, proving once again that it's more worthwhile to pull these out. In terms of valuation, they're worth as much or pretty close to it to a 90% half dollar. So even if you don't find any 90% silver half dollars out there in roll hunts, take a look at something like this and make sure you have a really nice handy magnifier in tow as you're going through these coins, because coins like this are generally passed over quite frequently, even for a lot of the more advanced roll hunters. These are just not on the radar. But if you guys need a good quality magnifier for a really low budget, I have them in my Amazon links below in the description box. Just go ahead and click, I think I have maybe 2 links for magnifiers, and they're like $6, $7, $8. So it's very cheap, but these are tools that you absolutely need, because otherwise you wouldn't see this with the naked eye all too well. Alright, so the next one that we have here, again, my affinity for pleasing looking off-center struck coins continues with a 2000 Lincoln Memorial cent. This one is off-center by about 10%, so it's nothing crazy, but the main thing about these coins is you have a full date. When there's a full date and it's off-center, and generally if they have a mint mark, you want to see the mint mark on there as well, that just enhances the desirability for such error coins. This particular example sold for $10.25. Keep in mind, these are copper-coated zinc coins. Usually, it's not a perennial favorite among error collectors to go after anything that is a copper-coated zinc, only because you do have exposed zinc areas on the coin, which could possibly be problem areas after a while, depending on where you live, because environmentally, okay, these things have to be free from any moisture, so that way they last for a long time. Alright, so this coin right here doesn't look like much, but, an eagle-eyed collector had found this 2006 Philadelphia struck North Dakota state quarter, okay, that features a really nice sizable cud right here on the reverse. Again, even the newer coins are susceptible to some of this die wear, where actual pieces and chunks of the die have fallen off after prolonged use. So this one right here is a really nice example. Usually, these exists on the West Virginia state quarters. We see the cuds on there quite often on those. But this one right here is another good one. and it sold for $9.80. So make sure you keep an eye out for this cut as well. Alright, so we're going to cross the northern border into a Canadian error. This time it's a 1968 dime. Now the cool thing about this coin is that it is a transition year between the earlier 80% silver composition silver dimes. Alright, this particular one and this date right here, you either had the option of finding the transitional 50% silver planchet or the full nickel planchet, okay, one or the other. So the silver ones are still worth a little bit of money based off of their intrinsic value. But what makes this particular coin especially desirable is its combination of being a 50% silver, in addition to being off-center by about 10%. This is a really cool looking and visually stunning, might I add, error for a Canadian error collector, okay, it's a very deep group with an affinity for these type of errors. And most of all, we do have a full date on this one as well, and it's in good shape. This one right here sold for $203.38, where a comparable Roosevelt dime would probably sell for about 25% of that amount of money. Considering in '68 we had copper nickel clad coinage in effect then on our US dimes. So this is a really cool error. Very nice coin. Can't believe it's raw. Generally, these have been slabbed by now. Alright, so we got 1982 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This particular coin here is off-center by about 10%. So we've had a number of back-to-back off-center struck coins in that 10% region. What's cool about this one, other than the grade, it's a nice solid higher grade coin. It's a 1982 large date Philadelphia. This one is also the bronze planchet type of coin. All right, so this is the, what they call the older pre-82 planchets before it crossed over into the copper-coated zincs. This particular example right here sold for $34.95, best offer option accepted. Just a really overall good-looking, presentable coin. And then, there are people that are collecting this particular date for every single variant type, like the 1982 small date Philly in the copper, 1982 large dates, and all that great stuff. So there is kind of like this race to find presentable pieces of this date in all of the different size variants of the date and compositions as well. Alright, so this one right here is a 1955 Lincoln Wheat Cent. And, it's a decent type coin, probably like a Mint State 63-ish type grade. It looks full red. The pictures aren't really fantastic. It really does show a coin that has maybe some problems. But this coin right here is, of course, notorious for what they call the poor man's doubled die, which is simply just die deterioration. But this poor man's concept has lived on for many decades, going all the way back to just about issue of this coin. So back in the 50s, people were seeing this coin as kind of like the alternative to the Big Daddy 1955 doubled die obverse. Now this one right here, the photos aren't great as supplied by the seller, but you can see a little bit of the secondary 5 here. That's all as a result of that machine doubling. This one right here sold for $38. Some of you will ask me, well, is that kind of indicative of the market, or is this just simply, smoke and mirrors? And I could honestly say that because of the notoriety of the quote-unquote poor man's doubled die, that even the higher grade examples will command this kind of market. Probably the most undeserving $38 that any one coin could sell for, but there are a few collectors out there that just want an example of this to kind of check mark a box for the most part, but not willing to spend hundreds of dollars for it. All right, so this is pretty much like top of the market for a coin like this in this condition. All right, so as you guys are checking through some of your beat up Lincoln cents, this is certainly a coin to look out for. Now, it's an earlier, type coin, a 19 teens Lincoln wheat cent. The coin in itself has issues. As you can see on the reverse, you got some corrosion. But on the obverse, you have some nice lamination. All right, so the laminations in themselves aren't worth tons of money. It's not like you could retire off of them. But this example, because of the date, it sold for $18.99, where I would say it's definitely worth pulling out of change in spite of its age and its condition issues. So make sure you look out for stuff like this. Proof is in the pudding. They do sell for, probably more money than they deserve. Okay, so we got a National Park quarter here. Now, this is the highlight coin of the PCMR this week for the main reason that this Harpers Ferry 2016, keep in mind it's a Philadelphia coin, is so straight up unassuming. Like, really, what do you look for on this type of coin? The coin in itself is pretty well circulated. As you can see, it's got, some dirt and gunk up here. A lot of the devices are worn down, lots of scratches. So the coin, I would say, is well outside of the mint state grade range. This is probably more along the lines of an AU55 at this point. Although I wouldn't be surprised if I saw this in the holder as like a mint state 61. So it's pretty crazy. But, however, this is a coin that if you're able to find this particular variety or a variant of such, these are easily $5 to $10 coins. And I wasn't sure if you guys knew that. This one coin here is sold for $5, but it's also a double die reverse 114 through Wexler, so you can see the extra window pane right here. But keep in mind, take a look at this number, 114. That means there are 114 doubled die reverses, at the very least, for the Harpers Ferry 2016 Philly struck coin. And the reason why that this is a worthwhile subject is that it's a very common coin to find, especially for those of you that live east of the Mississippi. Okay, so for all you folks that are on the East Coast that still find tons of these quarters, make sure you get under your magnifier and try and identify where the doubling is on one of these window panes, because this one's right here on the bottom left pane. There could be one here in the middle or left middle or on the side here. There are over 100, as we know, doubled die reverses for Harpers Ferry, and if you could take pictures as good as this seller, along with doing the attribution overlay on the images, I tell you what, man, you will make $5 to $10 a pop. Okay, and if they're mint state coins, that's even more bonus for you. Okay, you could sell these for probably 10 to 15. But because there are so many, this is what I would classify to be a very minor double die reverse, all 100 plus of them, that they're not going to command like a super atomic market compared to some of the other double dies. So, the chances that you'll be able to sell a high mint state graded example of any one of the DDRs for, say, $50 or $100 is pretty slim. But this is where just sheer numbers, okay, volume. If you went through a box of quarters and you say found 10 or 15 of them at $5 a pop, man, you're gonna be raking it in. So just keep this in mind as you're going through quarters, that this Harpers Ferry coin, the Philly ones only, will exhibit a lot of variances in the doubled die panes on that building. So make sure you find these and that you leave no stone unturned. These are still common out there in circulation. Quick little public service announcement. Any bank wrap rolls from the 2000s are very desirable. For whatever reason, they're selling for anywhere from like 3 to 5 times face. So right now, because of just how hot the market is, there is quite a bit of emphasis on original bank wrap rolls. So what we have here are 2005D, the Buffalo Bison throwback type design nickels that were being sold And as a matter of fact, this roll right here sold for $13, and this seller has a whole bunch more. It also helps that they took a picture of their bank box with actual stamps and all that stuff from 2005. But if you guys have any of these older rolls that are truly bank wrapped, unsearched, unopened, they have a pretty nice market. So you might want to consider moving some of them while they have the market of such. Alright, so what looks to be just a blank planchet right here is actually quite cool. Now, identifying exactly the size of the planchet and what coin it's supposed to go with can be a little bit of a task. But, you know, what we have here is a very unique sized blank planchet. And it's also called the Type 2 because it's got the upsetting of the edge, the rim that you see here. Alright, which is pretty standard on these coins pre-strike. Now this one right here is a Susan B. Anthony blank $1 planchet, and it's sold for $20. Okay, the coin, or the blank rather, has seen some circulation just based off of all the nicks and just a overall high wear on the edge here. So it's kind of strange. Not saying that you'll come across these anytime soon, but at least you'll know what it is. You know, and don't mistake it for like the punch outs to an electrical conduit box, because those can be found as kind of like slugs or fillers in rolls as well, especially for quarters. Okay, so this one's really cool, and I found a few of these earlier. I found them in Lincoln cents. I found them in actually $half as well. But we have a 1971D Lincoln Memorial cent with a really thin edge cut right over here. Okay, they call it a rim cut. These are very attributable on Coins on Cuds, or Cuds on Coins rather, website. And believe it or not, this is a very sneaky, valuable coin. This particular one sold for $26. Yeah, who would have thought, right? And, you know, based off of the circulation wear, nobody knows what this is. Nobody pays any attention. It's way too minor enough. It doesn't, you know, flow in terms of, like, what we would consider to be, like, a rarity. But, you know, $26, I mean, that's a real amount of money if you're looking to be very successful at roll hunting and finding things like this. Okay, so the wicked twist of irony on this one is it's actually a star note. Okay, you guys know star notes are replacement notes for notes that were damaged in production. So to find a star note on a miscut dollar bill is just, again, extremely ironic, and that's kind of what plays a huge role in the desirability of such notes, is that, you know what, it's not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to see error star notes for any reason. The back of the note even has writing right there. But yeah, it's just off cut. It's not misaligned because the front and the back, the printings are on cue with each other. They're plumb. But this one right here is, again, a 1995 series $1. Wow. Sold for $154. Excuse me. The note is in particularly worn shape with the writing. These notes are not supposed to sell for this kind of money, but because of what it is, if this was, say, not a star note, this would be probably a $10 to $15 note. But the star note, the star in the serial, because it's a replacement note and it's an error, man, it's the perfect storm of what a successful sale would be. And cherry pick for that, you know, what I would add to as well. Okay, so we have another pretty neat rim clip. This is a 1956 Roosevelt dime, so it's a silver. You can actually see the Blakesley effect on the corresponding edge right here is what you want to see for legitimate ones. But it's something as minor as this is definitely worth pulling out. This one sold for $9.95. A nice little 5 times your money flip for a silver coin. And we have a 1998 Lincoln Memorial cent. This one exhibits a broad strike error, so the collar was non-existent when holding this coin down while the strike was happening. So the metal flow has to pancake out outwards. And that's, this coin right here is probably sized pretty close to a Jefferson nickel, maybe a little bit larger. It's stretched out that much. And this right here, the double profile, is really cool. That's something that you would normally see on a broad strike on these copper-coated zinc planchets. So really nice coin. This one right here sold for $43.95. Visually, it's a beautiful high-grade coin with a double profile, which is normal on this planchet type. It's just amazing. It's an amazing coin. The likelihood that you'll ever find one in change remains pretty low, unless you found it in, say, like a Jefferson nickel roll. That'd be your only shot at something like this. Okay, like I've said before, the 2020 coins is going to be a hotbed of all sorts of errors. Okay, for the mere fact that the U.S. Mint is ramping up production to combat the coin shortage. So this was one of like the feature coins of the year that was just a footnote of what the 2020 mint production was going to be like. So we have a 2020 Philadelphia American Samoa double back quarter. Now this one has an insanely huge, probably one of the biggest I've seen, strike through here right on the bat's face. I mean, you can't get any more just stunningly visual than this coin right here. So to give you an idea, the coin sold for $200, but there are other strike throughs on the reverse of this coin on other, American Samoas that are more minor that still sell for like 15, 20, 30 bucks. Say maybe even as high as $100. But this is probably the most extreme version of the strike through face bat that I have seen. So definitely, guys, while this coin is plentiful in circulation, keep an eye out for these. For you guys on the East Coast, more so than me, because I'm not going to see stuff like this. So what we have here is just a plain old, 2019 West Point National Park quarter. Now, the reason why that this has come up, this is more kind of like a notice to everyone, that because of the current 2020 West Point quarters that are in circulation today, with the V75 pretty mark right here, these coins have dropped down considerably in price. But it's also a public notice for a lot of you that this is going to be a coin that later on down the road, now we're not talking 6 months or a year, that this is a coin that's going to increasingly enhance in value, especially if they're still in mint state condition. They don't necessarily have to be graded in order for them to be desirable. But keep in mind, always pull out every single West Point quarter. This particular example sold for about $8. This is an all-time low for the 2019 West Point quarters, all 5 designs. So make sure, if you don't need to sell these, I would certainly hold on to these right now. The market is just way too low on them. Alright, so if you're looking for a cool cherry pick and you don't have a lot of money, alright, so go ahead, if you're like in a coin shop or a coin show, I know the coin shows are starting to come back on the scene, even while Corona is still happening. Check out the Indian Head Cent cull bins. Okay, these coins are probably going to be somewhere in like the 50 cent to 75 cent per coin price. But man, check out some of those 1880s, maybe 1890s coins, and then look for the cuts on the reverse. There's actually quite a few of them, more than meets the eye. So if you're looking to make a nice little cherry pick and a quick flip, keep an eye out for these. They are very plentiful. So this 1883 right here with the reverse cut probably was purchased at one point for like under $1, sold for $20. So, the cut is right good size too, but I've seen some with larger cuts. This is just an overall, like, very satisfying cherry pick because you barely spent any money on it. So make sure you're looking out for these. And I would also say the same for the shield nickels and also the 3-cent nickels as well. There just seems to be an overabundance of these reverse cuts. All right, so really cool. Outstanding. We have a couple coins left. We have a 1944D. This is, of course, the silver manganese planchet type coin. And real simple on this one. You have some lamination going on the reverse. Very, very defective planchet, no less, which is pretty common on the silver wartime nickels. And, you know, if you found one, definitely pull it out. To give you an idea, this one right here is sold for $12.99. With the metal value in it right now, they're worth just around $2 with the price of silver right now. So yeah, nice little pop right here. So keep an eye out for them. And then finally, now this is going to be a one of the more newer coins. It's a 2018 P Apostle Islands National Park. So we've highlighted a number of national park quarters that are out there. Again, this is another Philly struck coin, and very plentiful, might I add, that you'll find on the east coast of the U.S. Now, this one right here was being sold as off-center, okay, by probably like 5%, somewhere around there. I mean, obviously it looks off-center. But you have a full strike on the obverse and the reverse. You actually still have quite a bit of rim here. And I don't think this coin is off-center at all. As a matter of fact, I think it's a partial collar. And the edge, kind of like semi-edge picture that the seller had put on their listing suggests so. Like you could see a partial reading and then kind of like that railroaded rim right here. So this is a partial collar, but still a coin that, if you could find it, is a huge find. All right, especially when this particular example sold for $59.75. It just speaks volumes. Like, there's not enough errors of this particular date range, like 2010 to 2019, to satisfy demand. So when these come out and you find them, they're definitely worth holding on to. Yeah, so that's an incredible find there, especially at $60. It's probably worth every penny because it's a rather unique error. But that's going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for making this one so long, but there's a lot of great stuff, a lot of unique type errors and varieties that we talked about in this video. Go ahead and get you some. Go ahead and look through as many rolls as you could muster. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Hit that good old bell for instant notifications. And as always, Coinaholics, we are discovering together. I will also add that on November 15th, we're about a week away, I will be launching the holiday giveaway special. No obligation, lots of great stuff. As you guys know, I like to do it fantastic for all my viewers, even subscribers as well. Subscribing would be awesome, so please hook a brother up. With your support, I'll be able to do more videos like this. You guys take care, happy hunting, and I'll see you on the next video.